Hi everybody, this is Clarine from In Rainy's room, and today we're going to be making this beautiful Folio gift box. Now I did mine basically with a whole lot of butterflies, so I'm calling it the Butterfly Folio gift box. Here's the back, here's the front. This is just kind of a corsage that I made up to go on the front. You can put whatever you want on the front of yours, of course, when you decorate it. Today I want to concentrate on how to build this fun little box. So when you open it up, we've got a sentiment over here and all our butterflies. And the sentiment says, "Where butterflies flutter, joy whispers softly," which I thought was pretty cool. And here's the side. And then behind this sentiment is a box. So you can fill that up with whatever you like. Since I've got so much white going on here, I think I'm going to fill mine up with those wintergreen white lifesavers. I think those would be perfect for that. And there's a little handle to hold it in place. Okay, and then there's the back. Now if you'll notice, we've got the ribbon on in kind of a funny place. It's not attached anywhere except here in the back, and I'll show you why that is in just a little bit. Okay, let's get started. Set that over there. And we're going to do the album part first. And what you're going to need is two pieces that are 7 by 4 1/4. This is medium weight chipboard. And then you'll also need one that is 7 by 2 1/8. And I think I'll just bring out the other thing, chipboard you're going to have to cut. You're going to need a piece that is 4 by 6, and that's going to be for this little panel here. And then we're going to put that over here. And that's the chipboard that we're going to need. Okay, so you're also going to need a piece for the outside. Let's do that one first. Okay. You're going to cut a piece that is 12 by 9. This is going to be for the cover. And then what I did was I scored a 1-inch line across the bottom so that you'll have a guide for your chipboard. And then inside of that, for your interlining, you're going to need a piece that is 10 1/4 by 6 1/2. And we'll set this to the side for a second. All right, so I'm going to fold along this 1-inch score line. And that's just going to give me a guide for placing the chipboard. Now the chipboard, we're going to use a whole lot of score tape. So I went ahead and did some of these off camera. These are going to go with the right side down. They're going to go right in here. So I have this score line down here so that I can make sure that I have a straight bottom for the whole thing. So they're going to lay on there about like that. And before I flip it over, I'm just making sure they're going to fit in there. Yeah, okay. So let me lift up this tape. This is 1/2-inch score tape. If you have the wider ones, the 1-inch or even the 2 or 3-inch ones, those come in handy for a project like this. So this one's going to go down first. And I'm going to line up the bottom with that score line. Like that. Okay, whoops. Before I put any pressure, I want to make sure that's on the score line. Okay. Now, I have a little ruler that I made, which I can't find. Oh, there it is. Hang on 1 second. Let me just grab this. I glued a couple pieces of the chipboard together so I could get an equal distance between these. So this is just 2 pieces glued together, and I'm going to lay it between the front and the back and this side piece. See how that's going to lay? So let me take this off. This is going to be messy. I'm getting little strips of tape all over already. Okay, so I'm just going to flip this over. Put my little template in there. Before I put any pressure, I'm making sure that it's up against the edge and that down at the bottom I'm on that score line as well. That looks good. Put that on there. And let me do the back side. Okay, I'll put this on the edge. Just lightly slide that into position here. And I'm just going to go up a little bit. There we go. Then I'm going to burnish this other side. Then we're going to do a little bit of scoring just to make sure our edges are going to all lay nice. Now, very important when we do our corners is before we fold everything in, I want to make sure that there's at least the two, it's almost 1/4 of an inch with these two together. So I want to make sure that I have that in the corner. So I'm just going to draw a quick line on all 4 corners. And you see how there's a nice space in here? I'll show you why that's important in just a second. Just to make sure that on there. There's nothing worse than going to all this trouble, getting your corners going, and then have a shaggy corner. Then I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to go to the outside of that line that I made, just to make sure I've got a good 1/4 of an inch in there. I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. I think in any project, you've got to have your base down pat, otherwise the whole thing falls apart. Okay. So we're going to get out our score tape again. going to go around all of the edges on the chipboard. Against the edge so that you've got tape all the way around. I'm also going to do it on this as well. I probably could use a 1/4 inch down on these end pieces because it looks like I scooted it over farther. Would have been better if I'd come a little bit to the other edge. But I didn't. I'll just compensate for it. There we go. And I'll burnish all that. Put all this up. There we go. Now on your end pieces, I'm just checking to see where my top and bottom is. This is my top, just because I have those little arches and I think they look better up rather than down. So this is my top. Before we bring our sides over, I want to bring this over. Well, let's go ahead and put this on first. Okay, I'm going to roll this to get my sides. Finishing that down. And then I'm going to roll the one that's across from it, you know, that north-south is the best way to go rather than in a circle. So I'll press all of this down. It's just grabbing real nice. Now in these corners, I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on that little corner down here as well. See how I put a little crease in there so that when I flip it over, I'm rolling this rather than just bringing it up, because I want to make sure that the edges are defined. Then I bring it over. And look at those corners. Those are beautiful. And that's important. See how that little tiny step that we did in there, I'll show you over here. Putting a little bit of pressure there, a little bit of pressure here. Wouldn't have hurt to have a little bit more space, but see how that has that little pressure? Then you roll your last side. Bring it down. Now this is a little, I'm cutting it a little close, but I think it's going to be just fine. And then the other piece that we cut for the liner, this is that one that was 10 1/4 by 6 1/2. I already pre-cut the edges. So that's going to fit on here. And let's see where my top is. This is my top. It's going to go right on there. Oh, that's, oh, perfect. All right, I like that. Now I'm also going to put a little more tape in the middle here to help hold that in place. I'm staying on the chipboard because I don't want to get into the edges. Don't want anything slipping and sliding around. I got my directions from Sherry at the Posh Paper Lady, and she had some of that really wide score tape. So if you like to make these little folders, it would sure be worth getting some of that. Saves a lot of time. Sticks to everything. Okay. Now I have to take off my tape from this liner. This is really nice paper that I got. It's made by Stamperia, and it's a nice weight. It's about a 65-pound weight paper, so it holds up well. All right, so now I think before I put that on, let me just do a little bit of work here. I'm going to crease those edges. And the chances of that cracking are always there, but if we manipulate and have the space, we should be able to get a really nice edge. And this seems to be going well. So just making sure everything's sticking down. That's going nice. Ooh, cool. No cracks. Okay. Where's my top? There's my top again. Okay, I'm just going to center this. Before I put any pressure, make sure I've got it centered. Great. And as I bring this down, let it come to where that little edge is. I'm going to work my way down to the other side. On the cautious side here. Everything to lay nice and flat. And one more line there. There we go. Okay, I think that's going to work out great. Yep, look at this. I'll just bring this over and get a little more pressure on that extra score tape I put on there so that it lays flat. Okay. Promise you we're done with the boring part, which is putting on all of that tape. Okay, looks good. All right, so So I'll set that over to the side. And let's work on that 4x6. It's going to fit right in here, which is the little panel. So this is a 4x6. Down here on the bottom, measure in and make a little dot at 1/2 an inch and 3.5 inches. And then you're just going to connect those from here up to this corner on both sides. And then you're going to cut them off, which is what I did earlier in my big cutter. So I had drawn those lines and I cut them off. And then I put score tape all over the back. Put that inside here. This was that panel that we cut that was 9.5 by 7.5. And I'm just going to lay that here. I'm going to, this is the top, this is the bottom. So I'm going to lay the bottom about 1.5 inches up. Like that. Press it down. And then I'm just kind of rolling. No, let me go this way. It'll go better if I do this first. Keep the score here and along those edges. And I'm just bringing these in to fold them. Kind of creasing. All I'm doing is creasing those edges. And while I'm creasing, I'm making sure that it's, covering pretty much the outer edge. So part of this I'm going to just cut away. So let me cut a little bit more away here. So these creases that I made are going to become a guide for you. I'm going to do an angle on each side of the creases. So I'm going to angle up to that corner. And then I'll angle up on that side as well. Same thing on the other 3 corners. I'm just angling. Whoops. Angled. This one was wrong. When I angled, you got to angle this way and then over here as well. Like that. So you see I have a big chunk taken out. So this was the first angle. Here's the second one. And then here's the other ones. Angling up in that crease on each side. And these are just going to fold in like that. I don't want this to be showing on the side, so I'm going to cut more of this away. We're just kind of covering without a pattern. Perfect, okay. So I'll use regular score tape for this. Just get the edges. And I'm just putting enough on here to hold it down because none of it's going to show. So I'll put that down there. And this side down. Not too messy looking, but it'll be nice and effective. And that's going to be going right here. And then we'll have the box behind it. So as long as I have it down here, I'm going to go ahead and put my sentiment on, since I already have it out. And I'm just gluing it down because the lid is going to come over and I don't want to get into any pop-ups and dimensional issues. So I'm just going to glue this down. And I'll center that. That, making sure I get my wording going on a nice line. We'll set that to the side for a minute, and we're going to make the little box that's going to go behind our little panel that we just made. Now to do that, you're going to need a piece of paper that is 10.5. Oops, sorry, 10.5 by 9 3/4. And then on the other side, you're going to, on the 10.5-inch side at the top, you're going to score at 2, 4 3/4, 6 3/4, and 9.5. Then you rotate it and you score at 2, 7, and 9. Now I already scored and folded my score lines. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start cutting it out. Now these 4, 5, let's say 1, 2, 5 sections at the top, that is the top of your box. This is going to be the bottom. So what we're going to do is put that at the top, and these little squares on the right side, we're going to cut out this bottom rectangle on that score line. I'm going to angle because this is going to become the side that holds the box together. Then there's a larger rectangle and a smaller one at the top. We're going to cut both of those off. Angle there and cut this off. Sometimes it's hard to see that white, but if you kind of tilt your paper, it brings it into focus. Okay. Then with this is going to be your new tab. With that on the right, I'm going to cut all 3 of these score lines up to that first horizontal line. These are going to actually be the bottom tabs that hold your box together. Okay, so I'm going to burnish remember, when you clip these little angles, make sure you go at an angle, don't go straight up. Because all you're doing is taking out some of that bolt in the corners. And I'll cut up here. And over here. Okay. So what we're going to do with the top is this section right here, this big square and then the little one, is going to be the lid that goes over on your box. So I'm going to rotate this and cut up all of those vertical lines up to the first horizontal. So I'm going to turn this sideways because this is going to be the lid. So I'm going to go ahead and use my corner rounder. Let me get that score line off a little better here. Got a little over the edge. Okay. And I use the 10 millimeter. So I'm just going to go ahead and clip that so that I can remember which is up, which is down, and where I'm at. So I'm going to lay this down, and this is the lid. I'm going to cut this second section and the last section. I'm going to cut off half of that rectangle. So I'm just going to swoop across here and across here. And this last fat section, I'm going to fold it down. Let me make sure I got to angle in a little bit more on that. Don't want that showing. So let me angle this just a little bit better. Some people call it just wedging. All right. So this piece is going to come straight down, and I'm going to put my score tape here and glue it down. And here it is. Go across here. Okay. All right. So let me show you what you've got here. This is going to be the little wedge that holds your box together. I'm going to fold that here. This is where I'm going to put glue. And then I'm just going to bring this other side over. And this edge is going to fall right up against that score. And then you'll have your box. This will be the lid. This will be the bottom. Now, how quickly did that happen? Clean up some of my stuff here. I got snips and pieces all over the place. So I'm going to put the glue on there. And just hold that down, and then I'm just bringing this half over and just laying it out. And pressing it down. There we go. Okay. There's the top of our box. Now this is going to be the front. So what we want to do is hold this flap up. These are going to be the two sides. So I'm going to glue those down just so they don't get in my way. Do that. Then this one is going to go up here. So I'm going to put my glue on here. This comes up like that. Then this is your top flap, and since it's in the front, we want it to be the last fold that you put on there. So I'm going to glue that down. I'm going to line this up before I put any pressure, make sure that it's forming a nice box bottom. There we go. I'll use my foam folder to just make sure that those are sticking on the bottom there. Now, this other little piece of chipboard that I'm going to have you cut was not in Sherry's directions, but I thought we needed a little support down here. So cut a little piece of the chipboard at 1 7/8 by 2 5/8, and then I'm just going to drop it in there just to give a little bit of support or whatever you might put in the box. Whoa. There we go. Get in there. And then I'll just press it down. Just finishes it off really nice. Okay. So we're going to fold this up. This part is going to go on the back of your folio. This part is going to get glued onto that panel that you made. And I'm going to put the glue all over here, but my goal is to line them up so that these bottoms are equal, and just kind of put that in the center. So let me go ahead and do that. You know, after you get all of the score taping done, then you get to have fun. This actually comes together pretty quickly. And I love this little box. So I'm just going to put the bottoms together. And before I put any pressure, I want to make sure the sides are equal. And that looks good. Okay. So I think I better open that again so I can get in here and smooth all that glue out. And I put a whole bunch of glue on there. Now, while I've got this open, before I put it on, there's a little handle. Whoops. That's not going down nicely, so let me put a little bit bigger wedge. There's no reason for that to scrape. And over here as well. Guess I forgot to wedge those. There we go. Okay, so that's looking good. So there's a little handle that we're going to put on there. So I'm going to have you cut a piece that is 1/2 by 5 1/2. And it's going to go right up here on this lid. I'm going to use my bone folder to get a little bit of a shaping on here, kind of give it a little bow. And I'll just press this in about 1/2 inch or so. Not going to glue it yet, but it's going to go right up here. And I don't want a big tall handle, I want to stay even here. So over on this other side, I'm going to put a line about there. Just fold that over. And I'm going to glue them down. Super simple. But otherwise, it's too hard to get into the box because it's right up against the side of your folio. Okay. That's going to see how far in I went. It's going to go there, and this is going come over. Oh, it's easier to see from this side, come down the same, about ½ an inch down. And then just press it. And same over here. Press them down. And then you have a little bit of a handle there. And I've also got some pencil marks over here. So I'm going to get these off of there because I don't want that. That was a little guide for me when I was doing the clipping so that I clipped in the right place. There we go. All right. So here's your box. And this side is going to get glued to the back side of your folio. Look at that. It's starting to take shape. Oh, I love it. I love this paper too. Okay. So I'm being generous with my glue here, making sure I get it in the corners and all over, because I want it to stay. And I'm going to glue it in the middle, so I'm kind of putting the base of my box in the middle, and then I'm just bringing it up here. Move it over a bit before I set it in place, make sure it's in the center, and to make sure that this lid comes over. Go to the right just a little bit more. Yep, see, I want to make sure that this will clear that spot. Looks good, all right. Now, that's a lightweight box you have under there, so you still want to get your glue set, but don't press too hard that you mash your box. Okay, looks good. Looks good. Now, I wanted to decorate the side of my box as well, so we're going to cut a couple strips that are 1 3/4 by 4 3/4, and that's going to go down the side of the box. And I'm just going to put that on with score tape. I'm just going to center it. Right, like that. And then on the other side, I've got a big glob of glue here. Let me take that off. This is going to go down here. Then I'm going to open my box. So that I can put a little bit of pressure on those. It doesn't matter. I'll just go this way. I thought I needed to do it from the inside, but I don't. Okay. Oh my gosh. I hope you guys are still hanging in there. I think this is well worth the time it's taking to put it together. Let me put my lid back on. See why we put the little handle. Okay. Here we go. Okay. And then this folds over. How cool is that? Okay, so before I let you go, let's get a little bit of decorations on the back. This is almost a yard of ribbon. So I'm going to find the middle. But because this edge is so wide in here, you really can't tie a bow there. So I'm going to center this back here. It's actually 32 inches. It's almost a yard. Okay, so I'm going to center that back here. And I'm going to attach it with a little bit of hot glue. Just because I don't have the patience for glue. Okay, so I'm going to put this there, just to hold it in place for a second, because I want to show you where to put that bow. When this comes around, you just wrap it around, but your focal point is going to be up here in the middle of your lid, not down in the center, because you just can't tie a bow in there and hold the lid at the same time. So that's where my bow is going to be, is right here on the edge. Okay, and there's plenty of ribbon to do that. So to hold that in place, I took one of my butterflies, and I found these on clip art on the internet. So I have butterflies, and I have flowers, and I took one of my big butterflies and I glued on a little smaller one. I kind of used my bone folder to just get an edge, kind of roll the wings a little bit. And I'm going to hot glue that right in the center there, because that's going to hold my ribbon on. And then all the other decorating I did around that. So I'll put this on here.